Hi everybody, welcome back to the Connection Hub. In my last video, I introduced Rosie and her journey, and unfortunately since then, Rosie has passed away, and we are very sad about that. What I've also mentioned before is that at any given point in time, we are always dealing with something. And so at this point in time, we are leaning more towards grief. And so let's unpack that a little bit further. Typically, grief seems to be associated with the loss of a person. And also, its arrival comes after the loss has occurred. But we can unpack that a little bit further. Grief is not only related to the loss of a person. It could relate to a change in a relationship. It could relate to a divorce. It could relate to a miscarriage. It could relate to a job loss, a health diagnosis. There's many different reasons where grief steps in. And at the same time, grief can also start before the end occurs, and that's where we talk about anticipatory grief. And that grief starts when an actual diagnosis may be made, whether this is a person or a pet. It could happen when you can see that the relationship is going in a direction where you won't be able to turn it around. It can happen when the routines start changing, where your life as you know it starts slipping away, and you're having to make adjustments for this impending loss that is going to occur at some point. And that anticipatory grief can make you feel low, it can make you feel sad, it can really make you distance yourself from the things that used to give you joy because there's new priorities taking place. And so this is truly a situation of change taking place, and we all know how we don't like change and we like to be in our comfort zone. But this is inevitable change that's thrust upon you, change that you know have no control over, and you just have to go with it. But that stage before the actual loss, before the actual moment of the definitive end, that is a process of anticipatory grief. So grief does not arrive after the fact. Grief is already present as we're going through that process. Now I'd like to change gears a little bit, like shift the gears a little bit into how, when you are losing a pet, for example, or if you have a miscarriage, for example, or if you are in a situation that is not socially acceptable in the environment that you are operating within, that grief journey can be quite lonely if other people are not recognizing the extent of the loss that has happened in your life. And this is where we talk about disenfranchised grief, where it feels like the world just wants you to move on. And for example, in the context of a pet, people may say, but it was just a pet, and you could get another dog. And I find that so insensitive, because the loss that we experience and the reaction to that loss, which grief is really about, it's our reaction to it and how we cope with it, depends on the relationship that you had with the being in question, the situation in question. And so I'd like to raise awareness that there's different types of grief, and for us to be open to other people's experiences and not impose our will or a socially acceptable form of response onto other people. but to meet people where they are at, to get an understanding of what's truly happening for them. We don't have to minimize their experience because we have not experienced it in the same way. So let's tread lightly in the context of those that are around us. Let's offer support, guidance, love as applicable. But let's not dismiss other people's journeys. I hope this will give you some food for thought around the context of anticipatory and disenfranchised grief. Much love.